What happens when a former president's China-leaning diplomacy is publicly rebuked on the world stage by none other than the President of the United States? Inside the White House, President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. stood shoulder to shoulder with U.S. President Donald Trump in a bilateral meeting that did more than just reaffirm alliance. It redrew the lines of diplomacy in Southeast Asia. "We're going to be talking about war and peace," Trump declared, signaling that this was no ordinary courtesy visit. With the world watching, Trump unleashed a stinging assessment of the Philippines' previous administration, without naming names but unmistakably pointing to former President Rodrigo Duterte. They didn't get along with anybody. Honestly, they didn't know what they were doing, Trump said bluntly. It was a diplomatic gut punch to the former leader known for cozying up to Beijing, often at the cost of traditional alliances. "It's not your fault, it's the president's fault," Trump added, referencing how Duterte's pivot to China had weakened strategic ties. "There's nothing wrong with talking to China. We're talking to them too. But you don't isolate your allies. This isn't just a story about rebuke. It's also a story about restoration." President Marcos Jr. has been praised by Trump as a tough negotiator, someone who loves your country and is too tough to close a trade deal easily. The remark was half in jest, but it underscored how Marcos had elevated the Philippines' standing in negotiations with Washington. Marcos wasn't there just to shake hands. He came to cement what he called the very strong ties between Manila and Washington, stating, "The U.S. is our only treaty partner." And in Trump's words, the alliance is ironclad. This new chapter in U.S.-Philippine relations is more than symbolic. It comes with steel, gunpowder, and economic strategy. A major headline from the meeting: the proposed construction of an ammunition manufacturing hub in Subic Bay. According to Defense Secretary Gilberto Gibo Teodoro Jr., this facility isn't just a military venture, it's a foreign direct investment that will operate on a commercial basis. "It will help the country become self-reliant," Teodoro said, adding that it will bolster local defense capability, technological transfer, and economic growth. But not everyone's clapping. Vice President Sara Duterte, daughter of the former President Trump quietly torched, openly voiced her opposition to the ammunition facility. The irony? She has remained largely silent on Beijing's harassment of Filipino fishermen, but loudly objects to a defense facility that could deter Chinese encroachment. The contrast couldn't be starker. Trump's comments laid bare a strategic pivot from Duterte's so-called independent foreign policy to Marcos' clear Western tilt. They tilted to China. Now we're back. "We're close again," Trump said. And yet, despite the flurry of praise and policy, President Marcos Jr. addressed concerns from Filipinos wary that all this may turn the country into a pawn, or worse, a target. "Are we not already a target for China?" he asked rhetorically, before asserting, "Any strengthening of Philippine forces is not provocation. It's about sovereignty and national defense." Missiles in the Philippines? Marcos doesn't flinch. He points to the West Philippine Sea, where aggression continues. The U.S. in turn promised to defend its longtime ally and reinforce its military resources in the region. From trade negotiations and supply chain talks with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio to defense planning with the Pentagon, the message was unmistakable. The Philippines is no longer straddling the fence. While some detractors label Marcos Jr. as weak, Trump's words suggest the opposite. "He's a very tough negotiator," Trump repeated, "but we'll probably agree to something. He loves your country. Whether this love translates into lasting security, economic benefits, or deterrence against China's increasing assertiveness remains to be seen. But one thing is clear, the era of ambiguity is over. If you found this analysis insightful, like, share, comment, and subscribe to AngKampanero, Tinig ng Katotohanan, Tunog ng Kasaysayan. Thank you to our new subscribers, and to those watching, let's keep the bell ringing for truth, justice, and freedom.